gonna go on to a less sussy topic. It's completely educational, not weird at all, and it's called Futanari Explained. Yes, this is from Professor Lando, and we're gonna learn about chicks with sausage. Yes, we're going on the Learning Express of cursed wisdom. Let's go.
Hello, students. My name is Professor Lando, and welcome to the esteemed Ligma University. And in today's lesson, we're taking a look at a very important topic, and that is one on Futanari. Yes, Futanari. What is it?
I see.
And also, why exactly why do we like it so much? That's what we're striving to answer today. So please, again, take a seat, open up.
I am very curious why it is such a huge subsection of degenerates on the internet.
Your notebooks, and let's begin class.
Please get out your notepads, boys and girls. Put on your reading glasses.
Like I said, students, today we are going over Futanari. It is a genre of explicit Japanese material, aka hentai, where a character or characters has both female and male explicit parts, body parts. Now, what do I mean exactly by this? Well, I'll give you an example here. Let's take a female character.
I have a question. Mr. Lando, do they, okay, then what's it called? When it's just a girl with a peepus? I thought those were also futas.
Chun-Li, and we compare it to a male character, for example, someone like
Wait, they actually have a different word for it?
Now, when it comes to futa...
So futas only if they have both? I just thought it was girls with, I just thought it was girls, or I didn't realize they always had both. Okay. I'm learning today.
Futanari, in its most basic description, it describes a character that is intersex, having both parts. Now, you could take this as a traditionally female character like Chun-Li, having a phallus, or a male character having breasts, for example. But when it comes to Futanari in practice, out there on the field, we find that more often than not, the majority of the media is going to be female characters with the addition of male parts, conceptually speaking, and not male characters with female parts. Now, don't get confused. There could be some crossover here with Rule 63, male characters and or female characters being changed into the opposite gender in fan-made media, fan art and whatnot. But we are talking about Futanari. Now, before we get deeper into this subject, I'd like to get deeper into the subject.
Retaining new knowledge.
Futanari is a genre in Japanese explicit fictional works. So when we talk about Futanari, it is in the context of fiction. And although there might be some loose associations with this word to some real-life cultural things many, many years ago, today, in modern times, and in the context that I'm teaching you about, Futanari is not to be used to describe real-life people.
Yes, please don't do that. That would be so cringe. If somebody unironically went out in real life and said this about real-life things, I think I would just melt into a puddle like the witch in the Wizard of Oz. Like, you can't do that.
Trans people specifically. Now, there might be some trans people that associate positively with this word. Who am I to say? Who am I to really know? But generally speaking, I think we would all agree that Futanari, to describe real life people, would be pretty distasteful.
That would be so cringe.
All right, you hear that? It's lunchtime, students. So before we get onto the rest of this lecture, let's get some brain food in us.
I see.
I don't know about you students, but I am starving. Luckily, Ligma University offers a very nutritious diet plan for its faculty and its students. Now, before we eat, I think this is a good opportunity to learn something important about Futanari for you visual learners out there. Now, when it comes to Futanari, there are three main types of physical appearances of a Futanari character. We're going to use these food items as stand-ins for the explicit body parts you might find on a Futanari character. First off, we have a banana,
a lot of us are visual learners, right, chat?
A schlong, schmeat, the girth, member, length. And to go along with this banana, we have 2 tangerines. And they go at the base of the banana.
Oh,
like
I see,
so.
I see.
And this represents the male package, as you can guess. And in a Futanari character, this replaces the normal female accoutrement that you would usually find. And they come in different shapes and sizes like they do in real life. They come just like this, girthy, way above average length, that's for sure. And maybe sometimes they come with a little bit of that skin
the abyss worm
missing at the top. And they say that loses some sensation for the banana, but I think they make do. And so that's going to be the first version of a Futanari character that we might run into. And so what we have next is this donut. That's going to represent the female body part usually found in explicit material.
Stupid humor.
Right there. This delicious donut.
Stop touching the donut like that. Stop.
There. And so in the second form of a Futanari character, in the physical appearance of it, instead of the standard male package, you remove the tangerines, no tangerines, and in place of it would be the donut.
We're good.
The female entrance where it normally would be, but with a banana protruding from the top. Arguably, this is a more niche version compared to the standard male package being on a Futanari, but otherwise popular within its own community. And for the third version of a Futanari character, we're going to combine our entire meal and have a balanced, nutritious diet. We're going to have the standard male package, like so, resting upon our donut. Now,
so there's variation in the science.
But to some people, this is their preference. And we can't argue that this is definitely a pillar of the Futanari genre.
I see.
I think whether or not you prefer your tangerines with your banana,
sometimes you have
no
bits and bobs, and sometimes you only have bobs.
Then when it comes to Futanari, it's all delicious. Well, that answers the question of what is Futanari, but not why Futanari. And what do you mean by why Futanari?
Jesus!
Well, why is it so popular? Let me give you some metrics here for reference. We're going to be pulling from 2 main sources, 2 main websites where Japanese explicit media, as well as other types of explicit media, are hosted. And that would be these 2 websites right here. Now, for liability's sake, I'm not going to tell you exactly which websites these are, but I will say that these are the 2 most popular websites for hosting Japanese explicit media, as well as other types.
I've heard of this one. I don't know what this is. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to admit to it because every time in my YouTube comment section, they're like, oh, she doesn't know what that is. Ha 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 ha.
Of explicit media.
But I don't know what that is.
This one being for images, and this one being for doujins, or the comic manga version. And on the first website, there are 603,000.
I know this site. I know what that is.
Results for the word
I know that
Futanari.
one, but I don't know the one up above. Probably because I don't read.
There are 35,416 individual works posted with the tag Futanari. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's a lot of Futanari. Now, the question is why? Why do we like Futanari so much? Well, the key thing here is
that's a lot of girls with extra bells and whistles.
That's the term that I use to describe the phenomena at play here when it comes to Futanari.
Here's my guess with no education whatsoever. Okay? Is it because they have, you know, a full toolbox? You know, is that why? It's like, why choose one when we can have them all? They have the arsenal. They have the full arsenal. Yeah. It's kind of like people who are indecisive, like, should I go to Dunkin' Donuts or should I go to, like, I don't know, McDonald's? And it's like, why not have both at the same time?
Much like how Charles Xavier, famed telepath leader of the X-Men, might project his conscious mind from one X-Men to another person. Tracer with a big fat. That's the type of projection I'm talking about here. Now let me go more into depth. The key appeal of the Futanari genre is understanding what it feels like to have your chicken choked. So
Whoa!
I think the tabooness and the appeal of Futanari comes from having that sensation that men are so intimately familiar with and projecting it
Put down the
onto
ruler,
a
I can't.
female character,
Stop
female
that.
form, and having that character experience, know what it's like to have that pleasure. That's the tabooness. That is where the main appeal of Futanari comes into play. Basically, the appeal of Futanari can be summed up in this way. Hey, I know what it feels like, and I like that she knows what it feels like. But she's not supposed to, and that makes it
I see it. So
hot. That's the
it's
projection.
wrong and also relatable, right? It's like, wow, I really want a woman who can understand, you know, who could put, you know, their feet in my shoes, but instead it's like, who could put my pee-pee on them.
I'm talking about. It's witnessing these female characters experience the
Yes.
same pleasure that I feel, with a little bit of tabooness. Students, I'll ask you
tried.
this. Why do we all like MILF so much? Well, we all have a mother or can relate to some sort of motherly experience, positive or negative. And why do we all like furry so much? Well, I think it's because we all have an innate primal nature harkening back to our pharaoh ancestors that we all want to tap into and go primal. And that's why we like Futanari so much. It's because it's relatable. It's universal. And so intellectual
I can't
detractors
relate
might
to
say,
it, but
hey,
you know what?
Professor
I'm
Lando,
happy
if it's
some
about
other people can.
relatability, then why wouldn't you just watch men? Isn't that the ultimate relatability? That's because...
Well, no, because I'm guessing they still like girls, right? Like, they still like how girls look, and also this isn't real, right? Like, this is fantasy. It's not supposed to, like, actually really represent something that's, like, that's necessarily real. I mean, for some people it can, but I think part of it's the fantasy, right? Like, that's
we're
part of
missing
it.
out on the taboo element. Men beating it, well, I beat it. I've been beating it my whole life. Also, why would I watch men? What, am I gay?
Oh no! The piano music. Is this gay?
To answer this question, I want to take a look at one of my favorite scenarios.
By the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I figure
So
you
what we
guys
have
all know
here is
that.
a visual representation for Plato's allegory of a cave. In regards to hardcore Futanari, I ask you this
I don't think
question,
it matters,
students.
but...
Are you the prisoner or are you the onlooker? What exactly are you lusting for? Are you lusting for the concept?
Bro, is this guy flying? I understand he's the onlooker, but why is this guy so small? Why is he floating? Why is there a campfire? And why he flying?
The idea, the projection and relatability.
He's ascending.
Of the
Oh, yeah,
phallus
makes
on the
sense. Never
female
mind.
Character. If so, then I purport that it is not gay. However, if that is not the reason you like Futanari, then there could be a whole nother discussion to be had, and maybe, just maybe, it might be gay. Okay, now we're going to talk about something called
You could
the
be on your
Futanari
self-discovery
pipeline
arc,
of
I see.
self-discovery. So how does this diagram start? Well, it starts with the most basic exposure. Hentai. Perhaps the first stage because of how accessible it is, especially with how provocative the visuals can be, mostly being animated media. This could be discovering a certain Teen Titans animation on Newgrounds, or perhaps seeing a clip of some sort of animated, explicit Japanese fictional work. But eventually
This
you
is
go on
very
to the next
specific.
stage, which is doujins, a slew of content that you never knew existed before. The volumes are comparable to a Library of Alexandria, the sort of Library of Alexandria.
Wait, is this a specific example? The DJs in my chat know what this is. I don't. I do not. Was this your guys' spiritual awakening?
Of the modern age. When it comes to the animated
Were you
works,
mortified?
This is the clickbait of the not safe for work pipeline. Because although there
Are you guys
some
okay?
fantastic animated works,
Chat,
generally speaking,
are you okay?
these are not the best. In hindsight, of course, when you're first discovering, this is very sensational, but doujins, that's where the meat is at. The care each panel has the amount of
The
work that
phrasing,
can
the
be
phrasing.
explored. Is why Dojins is the next stage.
Oh no!
Where do we go from there? Well,
So
now
many of you guys say you're not
discover
okay. I'm sorry
SFM
for
or
whatever
3D
Newgrounds Teen
animations.
Titans
Never
did to you. I'm so
underestimate
sorry.
the human potential for evolution,
so
students.
sorry.
SFM, or Source Filmmaker, which is a 3D software developed by Valve, or other 3D programs such as Blender 3D, most popularly, I believe, allowed people to create a whole new world of not safe for work media. 3D renders, 3D animation, taking the 2D planes, which have been available in Dojins and in the animated 2D works, and bring them into a whole new dimension.
See, I know this exists. You know how I know it exists? Anytime I type something in wrong on Twitter because of how they do not ban any accounts, including like bot accounts for lewd stuff, the first thing I see is gigantic like pee-pee and like gigantic frontal pillow sacks. Yeah, and it's always like Overwatch and Draenei in World of Warcraft, and it's like immediate, okay? And like I had no choice in the matter. It's not even, you know, it was like, oh, what was that artist's name, or what was that person's name? And I type it in slightly wrong. And it's like I scroll down and like Twitter is just like immediately showing me like everything. And like, yeah, the other thing is like, the first time I typed in like, I forget who it was from Overwatch. Just typed it. I think it was Mercy. And yeah, I immediately saw this exactly, the SFM 3D on Twitter. And like what was messed up was all I was doing was literally just like looking at a regular skin like in the game. And I was getting meat with my potatoes, and I was not aware. I was like blissfully unaware. It was like I scrolled down and it was like other things you might like, and it was like a random, you know, it was like a wholesome like Mercy. I think it was like during one of her skin releases, and then randomly like I scrolled down 2 images, and like immediately, you know, I think it was I can't even remember fully what it was, but I think it was something with like Tracer like face down, you know, butt up, and then Mercy coming into yeah, literally Mercy coming into Tier Valhalla, and I had never seen a Tier Valhalla that way. Let's just leave it at that.
Source Filmmaker and Blender. Part of this is being able to take community-made models, assets, and the sheer productivity.
And for your information, okay,
output.
I've been a degen before. This is not my thing. This is not something I'm into, but it was not well done either, okay? It was terrifying. It was like the sausage was like twice the size of their body. It was like a manifestation that piloted their body forward. It was like a weapon of mass destruction. It was a jump scare, yeah.
This pipeline.
It wasn't even something where like you run into
as
it.
a next step. If you
and you're like, well, this is well done. It's not my thing, but the art's good. You know, it was like, I'm mortified. I'm gonna like need to keep the lights on so I can go to bed tonight type of thing.
Yes, Futanari. Because Futanari, although apparent in both Dojin works and in animated works, for some reason seems to be particularly present within 3D works. Now, not saying that you can't skip a step here.
This is something I've always wondered. It's like, why is it more popular in 3D than 2D?
Perhaps you might find your way more prevalently in Dojins than animated, but still possible. Perhaps there are some works. I'm not too familiar. Maybe you can send me some just so cross-reference. So what are we talking about here? Well, when you go down this pipeline up to this point here, you might be somewhat normal. As normal as you can be after discovering what these are. But upon discovering...
My problem is because of my innocence, when I run into it, it's like whiplash, okay? It's literally like an anime where the girl is like skipping and then she gets immediately taken out by a truck, but instead of a truck, it's Rosie stumbles across Futanari on the internet on accident.
Futanari,
It's the worst.
I think, as a newly initiated person, you might be thinking, I don't hate it.
No, that's not what I thought.
Maybe.
I was like, my eyes, what am I looking at? I was mortified.
Kind of like it. So whether you follow the standard flow or perhaps find yourself off the
maybe
beaten
you could have this interaction if it wasn't on Twitter. All right? Maybe you could have this if you were perusing like the online nude like lewd museum by choice, all right? But Twitter throws it at you like a cheese slice, like a Kraft cheese slice to the forehead, whether you were planning on it or not, okay? That's why.
Path a little bit. You get to
And
this
that's
point
how I
and
found
you have
out
to
about
admit
it.
something to yourself.
I
Hey,
didn't know what it was until I
Collect
experienced it firsthand, all right?
that. And where do we go from here? On an entirely separate pipeline, maybe you could see something like this happening. Whoa, wait a minute. Now, instead of liking female characters, those are just dudes. Hey, I think students, what you're saying is, but Professor Lando, no, they're feminine. They're breedable and submissive and or.
Oh no, he's using
once
all
you're at
the
this
words.
stage, there is a way you might find yourself even deeper. F it, I just like men. Now, obviously, what I'm trying to say here is not
I
that
admire this man for saying it with his full chest.
Futanari is going to turn someone bi or gay. You can't turn someone into
No, you can't. If you like this, it might just be your pipeline to discovery. It's not like if you go forever unexposed to this, you're never gonna find out, that you like men. Like,
they're not. You can't change them. You can't turn them into being gay or bi.
and if you think
maybe-
this, then you're gay. I'm sorry, but if you think like one image of something like this is gonna make you gay and you're shielding your eyes and like hiding, I guarantee where you're hiding is the closet, all right? I'm just putting it
This
out
might
there.
reveal what's inside. Okay,
If
now
you're
we're gonna
taking
talk about
that
the
much
different
damage
types
just
of
from the
subgenres
existence, like,
within
that's-
Futanari that
That's
you might
some
run
projection.
Into. Okay, so the first subgenre that you're probably going to run into the most is going to be futa on female. And an example of this would be
Oh, really? So
Tsunade.
nobody likes like Futa v Futa jousting PvP 1v1 arena mode? This isn't like what people look for then? I mean, I don't know. This isn't my thing.
and Shizune from Naruto. Tsunade here being the
there's no
Futanari
jousting.
character, and Shizune being the standard female character. Now, the reason I've chosen
See,
these
my
two
problem is I don't have any attraction to this, so instead, I just, I look at this purely to be mortified and slightly entertained while, like, burning my eyes a little bit from not understanding, so...
characters that demonstrate this scenario is because
At least
within
when
the
I
canonical
stumbled
material,
across it,
the
you know?
series
Now I know it exists and I'm not as mortified, but...
Naruto, Tsunade
No sword
and
fights?
Shizune are a pair.
No
They're
PvP?
friends. Shizune serving as an aide to Tsunade, who is the Hokage for a time, and introducing the Futanari aspect within this pairing specifically, and other types of female and female pairings that you might usually see in the source material. It is able to take their relationship and introduce...
You're gonna come back later? You stay here, you coward! You stay here, you coward!
this sort of new flavor to it. Now,
We're getting educated right now. You can't leave early. The bell has not sounded. It's not time for recess. You buckle down. You write down your notes and you study, because this is gonna be on the goddamn exam.
already is fan-made content of explicit nature, right? Being images or dojins of these two characters and other female characters.
Yes, this will
partaking
be
in
on your
coitus,
permanent
lovemaking.
record.
And that already is a sort of rush and tabooness in itself. But introducing that next level, whether it be Futanari or something else, you're taking it
I figure
to
it's
that
close enough.
boundary. All in all, when it comes to Futanari, this model is pretty standard stuff. Okay, so the next subgenre that we're going to take a look at is
It's
futa
close enough.
on futa. Okay, so the example I'm choosing here is Cammy and Juri from Street Fighter. So obviously in this subgenre, Futanari...
Can you blame me for thinking that there might be 1v1 foot-long jousting because they keep picking PvP characters that are in, like, fighting games? I was wondering if they were gonna, you know, fight to the death via baguette, but apparently that's not... That's not the overall standard when it comes to this
On Futanari,
topic.
you take two characters that are usually portrayed as female in the source material, and they are both Futanari characters. What I think really sets this subgenre
Oh wait,
apart...
so no, sometimes they... Okay, never mind. We're looking at the ones where they are baguette jousting, got it.
From the others is the combative nature of it, as opposed to the first one, Futa and female, where there is a very clear give and take in the relationship.
Yeah, we got the top bunk and we got the bottom bunk, I think.
Clashing that might appear in Futanari and Futanari. That's why I've chosen these characters from a fighting game, Street Fighter, of course, Cammy and Juri. It's sort of a battle, and that's where the fun is. Okay, and the last subgenre that I'm going to cover is Futa on male, or Futanari on male. Okay, my example for this would be 2B from Nier Automata and me, Professor Lando.
The self-insert! He can't just look us dead in the eyes without blinking while drawing a self-insert.
The traditional role that men often find themselves forced into by societal norms is one where men are predominantly the acting force, specifically in relationships. But sometimes we need these roles reversed. And what do I mean by that? Well, sometimes men might like the door held open for them. Or maybe sometimes they would like to be the ones to get a compliment. Or maybe sometimes they would like the other person to pay for the check at dinner time.
Makes sense.
And sometimes they want Futanari 2B to plow them like the fertile lands of Mesopotamia. So it is in this way that Futanari on male might be the most complicated, but perhaps the most rewarding of the subgenres of Futanari. And I've been speaking mostly on Futanari on male, but of course this implies that the male could top the Futanari character. But that is for the weak of soul and mind and body. Only the weakest, whose bloodlines are inevitably bound to wither away and die, would prefer to top a Futanari 2B when the option to get topped by a Futanari 2B exists. Now, a lecture on the subject of Futanari would not...
So we're not appreciating the full tool belt, you know, the full equipment haver. It's kind of... They're not you know, being truly a gamer that way. You know what I'm saying? The one with the full equipment should be doing the work. Got it.
Complete if we did not talk about...
Write that down, write that down.
Overwatch. This first-person shooter game, developed by Blizzard Entertainment, released on 2016, took the world by storm. It's hard to really adequately describe how popular Overwatch was, from the fan-made content,
I can't believe that it is just universally known that this game
scene, the casual gaming scene, all the videos on YouTube,
has like a dominance over the market.
Overwatch was simply a phenomenon. Okay, well, students, you might be wondering, why are we talking about Overwatch? Well, it's because
I don't wonder anything.
There is so much Futanari based on Overwatch. I have seen so much Overwatch Futanari. And not just Futanari.
That was my Futanari freight train that made me aware that the fetish existed.
On the previously mentioned not safe for work image hosting site, there
when
are
I was on Twitter minding my own business.
367 results for Overwatch.
That aside, I typed
what
in,
is the answer to the question?
Mercy at Overwatch.
Why is there so much Overwatch
Immediate
Futanari?
isekai, okay.
Well, it's because playing Overwatch feels like you're getting f***ed.
Oh, well, he's got to quit.
By every character, that they have to give each character a dick, so you can probably get by your teammates no matter who they play.
Additionally,
but then, answer the question.
This is my argument then, why the heck isn't there more for League of Legends? Because that's like S tier for getting, you know, absolutely ground pounded by the enemy.
Is it gay to like Overwatch Futanari?
I'm just saying.
Yes. And it's not because of the Futanari. It's because I can't think of anything gayer than liking Overwatch.
Hello,
Let's
students.
go.
Thank you so much for watching the video. Professor Lando
Do
here
you like
with
Overwatch?
a little bit of an
Yay.
announcement. I'm going to be making an appearance
Bum,
at
bum,
Anime
bum.
Expo this year, July 4th weekend, Los Angeles, California. I'll be having a meet and greet on the second day of that weekend in collaboration with Omina, the apparel
That was
lifestyle
such a
merchandise
crazy
brand.
video.
To go along with that, we're going to be releasing our next merch collab with Omina at Anime Expo with an
I am
online release coming
thoroughly
this summer.
entertained
Here's our new
and
varsity
educated.
jacket along with that shirt
I
I was
think I
wearing
will
earlier
ace
that you can wear to show off your school
the
spirit
quiz.
and show everyone that you are
Oh,
a Ligma
that's so
University
cute.
catboy. We're also
I really
gonna have
like this
crossbody
merch,
bag
actually.
with the Ligma
That's
University
so
emblem
cute.
right there, where you can store all of your school
I would wear that
supplies.
hoodie.
Ample room to have a lot of miscellaneous
Or a
items such
jacket.
as the Professor Lando plushie that's also going to be available.
Tiny Lando.
Again, this merch, as well as some other items, are going to
Tiny
be launching
plush
at
Lando.
Anime Expo with an online release coming later this summer. If you happen to be going, I hope to see you, and if not, I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you so much, students.
I think I'm going to get a good
Thank you so
grade on
much
the
to our
final
Patreon
exam.
supporters.
That was great, very educational. Glad I could glad I could give you some educational content today, chat. You're welcome. You're welcome.